Hello first year, it's Mrs McInnes here. Today's lesson is going to be about drawing bar graphs. Okay, so I know you've done some work already on reading bar graphs and other kind of tables and charts, things like that. But today I want you to practice being able to draw your bar graph. Okay, so your learning intention is quite simply to be able to construct a bar graph, and our success criteria are to know what a bar graph is, to know when we would use a bar graph, to know the key features of a bar graph, which is really important, and then obviously to be able to accurately draw a bar graph to represent a given set of information or data. Alright, so the first thing we need to talk about is the key features of a bar graph. Okay, so when you're drawing out a bar graph, there are various different things that you have to remember to include. Okay, and these are the types of things that we will be looking for when it comes to checking over your bar graphs have been drawn accurately. Now this applies to other subjects as well. This is not just maths, okay? This is something that you will see in science, in maybe geography, various other places around the school. You will see different types of graphs and probably be asked to draw some graphs as well, okay? So this is a really useful skill for us to learn. So your key features of your bar graph are, you need to have a title. So the graph has to have a title above it as to what the graph is showing you, what is the graph about, okay? We then have to have a labelled X and Y axis, okay? So along the bottom and up the side, we need labels to say what those two scales are measuring, okay? Speaking of scales, your scale needs to be suitable. So your scale up the side needs to be a suitable scale. Now, what I mean by that is sensible numbers, and sort of a nice size of graph. So you don't want a really small, tiny graph, and you don't want a massive, big graph. You want something that's sensible, okay, and that looks appropriate. We obviously use a bar graph for categories of data. So you've seen that already from your reading bar graphs work. And then the last two are about when you draw your bars out, okay? So you must use a ruler to draw your bar graph. No wobbly lines, no freehanding, everything has to be done with a ruler, and you must include spaces in between your bars, okay? So we talked about that a wee bit before with your reading bar graphs, that you have to have spaces in between your bars, and nice even spaces as well, okay? We want the same space between each one. So I'm going to do an example with you just now of drawing out a bar graph and talk you through the process, okay? Now, I'm sure a lot of you will have done this before, but I just want to take you through one example. So here we have, after a month in secondary school, a group of first year pupils were asked to name their favourite subject. And we've got our information in a little table down here. We're going to draw and label a neat bar graph to represent this information. So we've got maths, English, science, PE, music and French. And we've got how many pupils said that each one was their favourite. So in your jotter, okay, you've obviously got squares in your jotter. You're going to need to set up your axes, okay? So you've got one along the bottom, that's your X axis, and the one up the side is your Y axis. So the first thing that I would get you to do is to decide what your scale is going to be. So what you need to do is look at the biggest number you've got, 18, okay? Now, 18 is an even number, so you could choose your scale to go up in twos, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. But I think you've got enough space on a jotter page that you could actually just have your scale going up in ones. Okay, so I'm going to go for ones. So the first thing I'm going to do is put 0 right down here in the corner. Now your numbers go on the lines, okay, not inside the boxes. It has to be on the actual lines, okay. So I'm just going to fill this in up the side. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, okay? So numbers on the lines, okay, not inside the boxes, on the lines. That's really, really important, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is mark out my bars, okay? So I've got maths, English, science, PE, music. I think actually there's one being cut off there as well. French as well, so French was 2. I'll just write that onto here. That's just got cut off a wee bit. Okay, so we're going to mark out our bars. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different subjects, okay? So we want to make sure that we've got enough space for our bars. So I'm going to leave a space at the very start, and I'm going to go for 2 boxes wide. Now you could do your bars 1 box wide, 2 boxes wide. It's completely up to you, as long as they are the same size all the way along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 boxes for a bar, and I'm going to leave 1 box for a space. So I'm going to go along here and fill in, just mark out my bars. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to write underneath here the name of the subject. So this first one's going to be maths. I'm just going to do capital letters because I don't have a lot of space on the screen here, but you could write the full thing. PE, music, and the last one was French. Alright, now what we need to do is draw our bars, okay? So obviously you're going to get your ruler out and you're going to be marking off your bars, okay? So the very first one we had for maths was 18. So using my ruler, I'm going to draw my bar for 18. So all the way up to 18. And just across the top there. Okay, and that is my bar for 18. Now I'm going to leave 1 box of space between each one, so you need to make sure you leave the same space between all your bars. English is going to be up to number 7, so we'll draw in English. Science we have 12, so all the way up to 12. Okay, and make sure that you are using your ruler and just taking your time to draw this nice and neatly. You then have 6, so a smaller bar there, 6. For music, we've got 10, so up to number 10. And then the last one we had was French, which was just 2, so that's going to be a very small little bar at the end here, just 2 for French. Alright, you could always, if you had coloured pens or pencils, you could always colour in these bars to make them look nice if you want to. So, you know, you could have this one, you could colour it in as red. I'll give these a wee colour just to make it look a bit nicer for you. So red, blue is the green, yellow. Let's do purple. And last one, go for a nice light blue. Okay, now we have to remember our other key features of our graph. Okay, so we need to have a title. So this was favourite subjects. Favourite subject. Okay, so title. We have our bars drawn nice and neatly with a ruler. We have a space between every bar. We have a sensible scale. We need labels for our scales. So the numbers is number of pupils. So I would write that up the side. And then along the bottom, this was subjects. Okay. So you need to have your title, your labels, your scale, and then your bars drawn out nice and neatly. Alright. So what I would like you guys to do today is just from your booklet, there are 2 exercises there on drawing bar graphs. So the pink questions are on page 10 and your yellow purple questions are on page 11. Okay, so if you could spend the remaining time just practicing drawing out your bar graph and making sure that you've included all of those key features. Okay, so possibly the teacher that's available might want to skip back to the slide on your key features and pause that and just have that displayed on the board just to help you remember all those things have to be included. Okay, I will speak to you all in our next video tomorrow, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye.